The rain drummed against the windows of Bella Vista, one of the most elegant restaurants in downtown Capital City. Crystal chandeliers cast warm golden light over mahogany tables, and the soft murmur of conversation mixed with the gentle clinking of fine china. It was the kind of place where business people closed million-dollar deals and celebrities dined in intimate corners, hidden behind velvet curtains. But on this particular evening in December, as Christmas lights twinkled through the rain-soaked windows, the most extraordinary moment would come not from wealth or fame, but from the pure heart of an 8-year-old child. Sarah Mitchell sat at table 12 with her grandmother, Alina, whose silver hair was elegantly pinned back and whose pearl earrings caught the light as she leaned forward to help. Her granddaughter read the elaborate menu. Sarah's eyes sparkled with wonder at the fancy surroundings. She had never been anywhere so beautiful. The white tablecloth felt like silk under her small fingers, and she marveled at how the water glasses seemed to shimmer like diamonds. "Grandma, why is everything so shiny here?" Sarah whispered, her voice filled with innocent curiosity. Alina smiled, her weathered hands gently smoothing Sarah's dark curls. "Because beautiful places remind us that there's magic in the world, sweetheart. And tonight is special. It's your birthday dinner, remember?" This was their tradition. Every year on Sarah's birthday, Alina would take her somewhere special, somewhere that would create memories to last a lifetime. This year, Alina had chosen Bella Vista not just for its reputation, but because she wanted Sarah to experience elegance, to understand that dreams could become reality. As they waited for their meal, Sarah's attention was drawn to a commotion near the entrance. A man in his 30s stood at the hostess station, his shoulders hunched with embarrassment. His clothes were clean but worn, a faded jacket that had seen better days, shoes that had been polished but couldn't hide their age. He spoke in hushed tones to the hostess, occasionally glancing toward a corner table where a woman sat alone, her face etched with worry. The hostess, a young woman with kind eyes, seemed to be trying to help, but there was clearly a problem. Sarah watched as the man's face reddened, his hands fumbling through his wallet again and again, as if hoping money would magically appear. "I'm so sorry," she heard him say, his voice carrying across the restaurant despite his attempt to keep it low. "I thought I had enough, but the prices? I didn't realize. It's our anniversary, and she's been so excited about this dinner. She's been talking about it for weeks." Sarah's heart squeezed tight in her chest. She had heard that tone before. It was the same voice her mother used when she had to explain why they could unbuy something at the store. The same heaviness that came with wanting to give someone you love something beautiful, but not being able to afford it. The woman at the corner table, the man's wife, was trying to pretend she hadn't noticed the conversation. But Sarah could see the way her fingers twisted her napkin, the way her smile wavered when she looked toward her husband. She was beautiful in a quiet way, wearing a dress that was clearly her best, her hair styled with care for this special evening. Alina had noticed too. Her grandmother's eyes, sharp and observant from her 72 years of life, took in the scene with understanding. "Oh dear," she murmured softly. But it was Sarah who acted first. Without a word, she slipped from her chair and walked to where her small purse sat, a glittery pink birthday gift from her mother. Inside was her most precious possession, $53. It was money she had been saving for months, earned from helping neighbors with small tasks, collecting bottles for recycling, and carefully setting aside every birthday dollar from relatives. She had been planning to buy a beautiful dollhouse she had seen in a toy store window, one with tiny furniture and miniature chandeliers that reminded her of places like this restaurant. With her heart pounding but her resolve unwavering, Sarah walked up to the hostess station. The man was still there, his face now flushed with shame as other diners began to notice the situation. "Excuse me?" Sarah said, her small voice clear and determined as she tugged gently on the man's jacket. He looked down, startled to see a child standing beside him. His eyes widened as Sarah held out her purse, unzipping it to reveal the carefully folded bills inside. "I heard you need help with dinner," she said simply. "You can use my money." It's my birthday money, but birthdays come every year. Anniversaries are special too. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway to mouths. And even the gentle background music seemed to fade as everyone witnessed this moment of pure, unfiltered kindness. The man's eyes filled with tears. "Sweetheart, I can't take your money. That's yours." But Sarah was already pressing the bills into his hands, her small fingers wrapping around his larger ones. "My grandma says that sharing beautiful things makes them more beautiful. And look how pretty this place is. Your wife should get to enjoy it too." Tears began to flow down the man's cheeks as he knelt to Sarah's level. "What's your name, Angel?" "Sarah. And today's my birthday. I'm 8 now." The man's voice broke as he spoke. "Sarah, I'm David, and that beautiful lady over there is my wife, Maria. Today is our 10th anniversary, and you just gave us the most incredible gift." By now, Maria had risen from her table, having realized something extraordinary was happening. When David explained what Sarah had done, Maria's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She rushed over and knelt beside her husband, taking Sarah's small hands in hers. "Sweet girl," Maria whispered, "you have the most beautiful heart I've ever seen." But the magic was just beginning. Alina had been watching from their table, her own eyes misty with pride and wonder at her granddaughter's compassion. She approached the group with dignity and grace, her pearl necklace catching the light as she moved. "I'm Sarah's grandmother," she said warmly, "and I believe this calls for a celebration." Before anyone could protest, Alina was speaking to the manager, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to making things happen. Within minutes, the most remarkable scene began to unfold. The manager, a distinguished man named Vincent, who had worked in fine dining for 30 years, was so moved by Sarah's gesture that he made an unprecedented decision. Not only would David and Maria's anniversary dinner be completely complimentary, but he invited them to join Sarah and Alina at their table, which he quickly arranged to have moved to the restaurant's most prestigious spot, a semi-private alcove with a view of the city lights. But the generosity didn't stop there. Other diners, having witnessed Sarah's act of kindness, began approaching the table. A businessman in an expensive suit quietly handed David a business card, mentioning he was always looking for good people to work in his company. A couple celebrating their own anniversary insisted on paying for Sarah's birthday dinner. An elderly woman, reminded of her own granddaughter, sent over an elaborate birthday cake from the restaurant's pastry chef. The hostess, whose name was Jennifer, was so touched that she called her manager at a local toy store. Within an hour, the most beautiful dollhouse Sarah had ever seen was being delivered to the restaurant. A gift from Jennifer and her co-workers, who had quickly taken up a collection. As the evening progressed, the corner of the restaurant became a celebration of human kindness. David and Maria learned that Alina was a retired teacher who had spent 40 years nurturing young minds to be compassionate and thoughtful. Sarah learned that David worked 2 jobs to support Maria through nursing school, and that this dinner represented months of saving and sacrifice. "You know what the most beautiful thing is?" Maria said, as they shared dessert under the twinkling lights of the chandelier above. "Sarah, you didn't just pay for our meal. You reminded everyone in this restaurant what real wealth looks like." The story could have ended there, with a beautiful evening and new friendships formed. But life has a way of creating even more magic when kindness is the catalyst. David did get the job from the businessman he met that night. It turned out his years of hard work and integrity combined with the character he showed in that vulnerable moment made him exactly the kind of employee the company needed. Maria graduated nursing school with honors and now works in the pediatric wing of Chicago Children's Hospital, where she tells Sarah's story to young patients who need to believe in the power of kindness. Alina, inspired by the evening, established a small foundation that helps families celebrate special occasions when finances are tight. The Sarah's Heart Foundation has now helped over 200 families create beautiful memories together. And Sarah, She learned that sometimes the most valuable things we can give away are not the things we plan to keep. The dollhouse Jennifer gave her that night still sits in her bedroom. But more importantly, she carries the knowledge that one moment of compassion can change everything. 5 years later, Sarah, now 13, still returns to Bella Vista every birthday with Alina. David and Maria always join them, along with Jennifer, the hostess, who has become like family. They sit at that same alcove table, watching the city lights twinkle through the windows, and they remember the night when a child's pure heart reminded an entire restaurant full of adults what true abundance really means. The lesson Sarah teaches us is profound in its simplicity. We don't need to have much to give much. We don't need to be adults to make a difference. We don't need grand gestures to create magic. Sometimes all it takes is seeing someone else's need and choosing love over selfishness. In a world that often feels cold and disconnected, Sarah's story reminds us that kindness is not just nice, it's necessary. It's the golden thread that weaves us together, the light that illuminates our shared humanity, and the bridge that connects hearts across all boundaries of age, circumstance, and background. The child who paid for a stranger's meal didn't just buy dinner that night. She purchased hope, created connection, and proved that the most powerful force in the world isn't money or status or fame. It's a loving heart, willing to share whatever it has with someone who needs it more.